Thank you so much. I want to thank President Silver and the trustees of Bennington College for giving me this opportunity to celebrate your commencement with you. There's never been a better time to appreciate what creativity can provide in terms of being a leader, because we now live in this world that is filled with new information. It's flying around us from multiple directions simultaneously, and everybody has an opinion, and everybody wants their opinion heard, even if it's different from ours. And while we used to look for leaders who were experts in only one specific subject, now we need leaders who can sort through and bring together all the disparate pieces, especially those pieces that may appear to be unrelated to each other. When we get into situations where people are coming from multiple perspectives, we look for leaders who are really comfortable being in the middle of ambiguity. Leaders who know how to respond to those challenges that pop up out of nowhere. And there are many people who do not enjoy being in ambiguous situations. There are many people who do not feel secure unless they live with a consistent and predictable order all the time. There are many people who are afraid of unpredictable events. But there are leaders who get energized by solving old problems in new ways. And there are leaders who can build something out of nothing. And at the heart of this type of leadership is creativity. Your education from Bennington College has laid a foundation for you to be this type of leader. And it appears that creativity has been at the heart of Bennington College's history, the first college to include the visual arts and the performing arts in their liberal arts curriculum back in the 1930s. Wow. Bennington College graduates are part of a lineage that understands that creativity is not a frill, and creativity allows us to be in most any type of environment and understand the context and make quality, everyday decisions, especially in the middle of change. When people around you get into these situations which are different from the way it's always been done before, and they look to you and they say, "We don't know where the path is. Which direction should we take?" You may not see an evident pathway either, but instead of being paralyzed by uncertainty, your creativity allows you to keep on going because you know you will figure this out. That is what happened to my mother, Rosemary Chu, 66 years ago when she was a teenager. Rosemary lived in China in the beautiful city of Qingdao, and today Qingdao is a city of 8.5 million people. When she was growing up, Qingdao was a fishing community of about 55,000. It was the 1940s, and Rosemary lived with her 3 sisters and a brother. They were children of a Lutheran pastor and his wife, and Rosemary's father had a church in Qingdao. It's still standing today. And as a teenager in this beautiful country and this beautiful coastal community, Rosemary and her siblings could walk along the seashore and catch fresh seafood and gather clams and live the traditional Chinese way of life. But as the government changed in 1949, there was a lot of unrest and turmoil at the time. Rosemary had just graduated from high school, and her parents made a decision to have her leave her hometown of Qingdao by herself and go to Hong Kong, where her uncle and aunt lived. There was a train going to Hong Kong. It would take 8 days. She didn't carry any luggage with her. She wore 8 pair of underwear, one over the other, got on the train. She had her parents and had talked with them, and they had made an agreement that they would not communicate with each other, and they adhered to that non-communications plan. There wasn't anything like Skype at the time. So they walked her to the train station and said goodbye to her, and they didn't know if they'd ever see her again, and they never did. She slid past 141 interrogations on the train ride to Hong Kong, and when she reached Hong Kong, she wasn't even sure where her uncle and aunt lived. She didn't know, and they didn't know she was coming. So she spent the rest of her money on a ticket to take her into Hong Kong, but as soon as she got on the Hong Kong train and the doors closed, she realized that she had not gotten on the right city train. Instead, she'd gotten on another train that would take her to the nearby island of Kowloon instead. And it wouldn't turn around until the next day. So here she was, now in Kowloon, wandering around the neighborhoods, homesick, no more money, 18 years old. So she walked up to this house and that had a car sitting in front of it. And the car reminded her of that same type of car that belonged to a missionary who had been assigned to her father's church in Qingdao. So she knocked on the door, and there was a small peephole door within the larger door, and the peephole door opened, and there was the face of a housekeeper. And my mother actually asked the housekeeper if the missionary lived in that house, but the peephole door slammed shut. And the housekeeper must have thought this was a stranger. So as she walked away from the house, all of a sudden the front door reopened and out came the missionary. It really was his house. The missionary was so surprised to see her, gave her a big hug and said, "Come on into my house, I have a surprise for you." And as soon as she walked in the house, there in the living room, sitting on the couch, was her uncle. He had never visited the missionary in Kowloon before, but he decided to come over on that very day. So my mother went to live with her uncle and her aunt and their children, her cousins, until she attended college in the United States. This is an example of a person who used her creativity that was within her to figure out how to keep moving, even when she did not see the evident path. And your educational training from Bennington College has embraced creativity. And you have such a great opportunity to help others as well as yourselves to continue being innovative and not be stuck, to keep moving, to see the patterns, the connections, and the possibilities when others do not see them, to acquire meaning and value, to build something out of nothing, to transcend those situations when there may have only been one solution or possibly none. Because creativity is that courage to step out and do something in a way that hasn't been done before. There are a lot of us who are involved in the arts because we need to create. We need to find ways to innovate. We feel like we exist so we can create, we can expand. We need to use those technologies to deal with change, to take the resources that are available to us at any moment in time, whether our resources are abundant or scarce, and use whatever we have to create value and meaning, and to take those kinds of risks that are necessary to make a positive impact on others and that bring out the good in us. So as leaders in creative fields, we have an opportunity to provoke and to create and inspire. We have an opportunity to be lifelong learners so that we will not be boxed in by the same old and tired arguments. And we have an opportunity to stand in the middle of ambiguity and different perspectives without shrinking back, and to provide a working environment that allows others to generate new insights and solve old problems in new ways, and to unleash that creativity that's within each of us and embolden the creativity in others. So whether you have taken an oath of office, as I have, or you're starting a new business, or you're introducing an idea through a new approach, or when our world has turned upside down from what we knew and we have lost what we had before, we can step forward out of our safe comfort zones and use that creativity that's already within us to tackle problems and keep moving for the purpose of making better our lives and the lives of those around us. Congratulations on your graduation, and may all you do in the future bring meaning to your life and the lives of others in a creative way. Thank you.